Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, a renewed commitment from Venezuela as multiple contracts are signed for post-Maria housing development. Training remains a priority for local media as the DMCA adopts a new constitution. And a stern warning from the Prime Minister to State College authorities as he pledges to pay $1 million in unpaid student fees. The details coming up.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fenced pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Do you need more cash for that home improvement? Then come to Fast Cash, where we give you more. At Fast Cash, our customers get more funds and more time to repay. But wait, can't come to us? We'll come to you, and our mobile officer will get you on your way. Small businesses, consumers, and taxi owners. Fast Cash has more for everyone. Simply call or visit any of our locations for more. Smarter, faster, better. Fast Cash. Terms and conditions apply.
First up in the news, the Prime Minister says while it's not government's responsibility to build homes for Dominicans post-Maria, his administration is doing it because it cares. The Prime Minister says his intention is to ensure that all Dominicans have a place to call home just as he does. Mr. Skerritt was speaking at a ceremony in Trafalgar on Friday where multiple contracts were signed to repair Petro casas damaged by Hurricane Maria and to construct apartment buildings.
And I am a student of history. What we have been doing for this country, especially after this hurricane, is unprecedented. Unprecedented. As of today, this government has deployed financial resources to every single village in Dominica, every single constituency in Dominica. But not only financial resources, assistance by way of materials paid for by the Treasury of Dominica. Because we recognize that had the government not stepped in, the majority of us would not be able to underwrite the huge cost of reconstruction.
The Prime Minister says his determination to help those in need comes from his conviction to help the least among us.
So these apartments you see, my dear friends, you will go to any metropolitan country, any so-called first world country, and you will see similar type apartments. And maybe ours might be even better looking and better designed than that which you see overseas. Because we want to ensure that we elevate every family in this country. I know what all of you went through, and all of us went through during Maria. And some of the Petro casas homes got mashed up, including some of the Petro casas. And so in the design of these structures, we have taken certain key matters into consideration. So those structures are designed to withstand a Category 5 hurricane.
A contract was signed for construction of a 12-unit apartment complex in Lily Valley.
As the power rep for the area, these are great times for me, and I want to publicly thank the Honorable Prime Minister for really pushing this program for me and pushing the program in terms of all the Petro casas for Dominica / but the housing complex in terms of the apartment complex, because I have a lot of families here, I have a lot of mothers here, and I'm not talking about mothers with 2, we're looking at 3 and probably 4, building our families, and I want to give them that level of comfort such that they can be well housed and prepared for the future in terms of how we take care of our kids.
This housing project is significant for the people of Trafalgar, Shawford and Forcani.
We must bear in mind, however, that this is a huge task that the government is undertaking in helping to repair and build homes, something that they are not obliged to. In my lifetime, this is the first that I have witnessed where the government of the day is repairing person's home after disaster. Those of you who survived Hurricane David would know and have seen the difference. So I would like to urge everyone to support the government in its efforts, and let's come together and unite in making Dominica the best resilient country in the world.
Still with the Prime Minister, he believes the new Barbados Prime Minister, Mia Mottley, is well positioned to make a significant contribution to leadership within the region. Mia Mottley's Barbados Labour Party won all 30 seats in last Thursday's general election, putting Frondell Stewart's Democratic Labour Party completely out of office. Prime Minister Skerritt congratulated Ms. Mottley, Barbados' first female Prime Minister, during a contract signing ceremony in Roseau Valley on Friday.
For me, it is also a matter of personal friendship. I have known Prime Minister Mottley for many years, and we engender in the last 7 or so years a very personal relationship and friendship. And I have called on a number of occasions for guidance on very important matters. He has, in my mind, one of the best political minds in the Caribbean, a very bright lady. And I believe her election will usher in a renewed vigor and energy within CARICOM that is much needed now. So we look forward to her leadership and her guidance as we seek to take the Caribbean through these very turbulent periods.
Mr. Skerritt says Prime Minister Mottley also proved to be very helpful to Dominica and to him personally following both Tropical Storm Erika and Hurricane Maria. He says Mottley mobilized resources and support without which Dominica would not have made the level of progress realized after the passage of these two natural disasters. In more news now, following a government's pledge to pay $1 million in college student debt, Prime Minister Skerritt has threatened legal action if college administration prevents students from sitting exams. Skerritt, who is also Minister for Finance, has promised that in June, government will start settling fees owed by students to the DSC.
We'll pay the college in by the second week of June, $1 million that will clear all the fees owed by all our young people attending the state college. And I will go to the state college to hand over the check to them. And I intend to tell them off on a couple of things. And one of the things I will tell them off about is that the practice which they have of not allowing students to sit their exams is wrong. It is morally wrong, it is ethically wrong, and it is illegal.
The country's leader warned that if the practice continues, DSC President Dr. Donald Peters will be taken to task.
And if they continue to do so, I will instruct the Attorney General to sue the college on behalf of the students of Dominica. And to hold the President, Dr. Peters, personally liable, because they should never be sending students home, not allowing them to sit their exams.
In more news now, a $500,000 road project for Salisbury to begin this week.
The project will cover the main village entrance up to the Salisbury Health Center. Chairman of the Kulibi Stream Monrachet Village Council, Erickson Robinson, says all 4 hired contractors are from the community.
Well, it's in excess of $560,000. And the funds have been transferred to the Kulibi Stream Monrachet Village Council. There are 4 contractors, and we will be executed on behalf of the government.
When does work expect to begin?
Well, the contracts have already been signed, and we expect the contractors to be mobilizing.
How long is this project due to last?
Well, we are hoping that the contractors can move the project, and the entire community of Salisbury can cooperate with them, so they could get this thing done as speedily as possible.
What sort of cooperation are you expecting from the community?
Well, we're expecting that there's quite a few vehicular traffic in Salisbury and a lot of parking and a lot of activity in the community. And we're expecting that the community of Salisbury can, in fact, work with the contractors, participate, and because at the end of the day, the project is a much needed project because the road surface needs to be ripped out and repaired in the quickest time.
Since Salisbury is without a village council, government funds are directed into the Kulibistri Monrachet Council to manage on behalf of projects in Salisbury.
What has happened is that the government has utilized the councils widely. And what has actually been done is that the government makes available the funds through the councils to execute certain projects within the community. And with Salisbury not having a village council, the Kulibistri Monrachet Village Council is utilized. The instructions comes from the ministry, and there are very clear guidance as is given, and we as a council would execute on behalf of the government. So it's not that the council in Kulibistri and Monrachet is operating as a council for Salisbury. It's just that we are facilitating implementation of a number of projects for the community of Salisbury.
Robinson is encouraging Salisbury residents to see the wisdom in joining the local government system.
As a community, we should always look at having a structure in place that can aid the central government to implement activities within our community. So there are great benefits in having a council. You know, the issue of the government matching funds that you raise to further assist you in implementing projects is another area that I can highlight. That's why it's important that you have a structure, an authority that government can have confidence in to ensure that they move the community and projects through. And that's why I'll continue to encourage the residents of Salisbury to pursue having a village council. You know, and it will bring great benefits to the community of Salisbury, like we have seen in Kulibistri.
And the Dominica Media and Communications Association has formally adopted its constitution. Andrea Louis has more.
This brings the body one step closer towards gaining regional recognition from the Association of Caribbean Media Workers, ACM. President of the DMCA Inc. says a lot of hard work went into bringing the body to this point.
So a lot of hard work went into that. First of all, I'd like to publicly thank the committee that we put in place to review and to establish this constitution for us. We saw today the fruits of their labor. There are very few concerns from the general body as it related to the constitution. Also like to thank publicly the lawyer who reviewed our constitution, Cara Shillingford, and she did quite a fine job as well, where she pinpointed one or two little areas where we overlooked as media practitioners. So all in all, it's pretty good that we can move forward now that we've adopted the Constitution.
The adoption of the Constitution helps the DMCA Inc. advance the registration process with the ACM.
The next step right now is to move on with the registration process with the Association of Caribbean Media Workers. We have to now contact the new executive because we are working in past with an executive led by Mr. Wesley Gibbons. There's now a new president in charge, so we now have to do one or two minor details as regards to our application.
Richards says apart from gaining regional recognition, training remains top on the agenda.
Then we're going to focus a lot on training, as we've always been saying. Training is very key. We missed out on a very important training opportunity in Jamaica, and we're hoping that we can take advantage now that we are soon to be a full registered member, to capitalize on these training opportunities. We're also going to be looking to have a number of local trainings here being conducted here. We have a number of local facilitators who have showed interest in coming on board with the Dominican Media and Communications Association in trying to get things moving forward for media professionals here.
You are watching Channel 5 News. We will continue after this.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001-275-5003 today.
There are signs everywhere. Pay attention whether you're male or female. Visit your health center to get screened. It's a preliminary test to determine if you are exposed to the HIV virus, an STI, or tuberculosis. Some people who are HIV positive also have tuberculosis. But there's hope. Tuberculosis can be cured. And yes, you can live a full life with HIV. Talk to your doctor. Be responsible. Help stop the spread of TB, HIV. Encourage everyone to get tested.
Thank you for staying with us. 40 new jobs soon to be added to the over 200 created by government in the wake of Hurricane Maria.
At the start of the year, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit promised that government would create new jobs for those who were made redundant due to Hurricane Maria. The number of jobs to be created under this special employment program is 1,100, and to date, 244 people have been employed under this program. Minister for Enterprise, Commerce and Small Business Development says another 40 jobs will be generated shortly in a further effort to help the private sector rebound from the effects of the hurricane.
You would have heard that over 244 people have been employed, people who had lost their jobs after Hurricane Maria, and government instituted this short-term employment, and already 244 people have been engaged, and another 40 plus will be engaged shortly. And some of these people are at the private sector, companies, and this will allow these companies to get back on their feet, and the government pays for the salaries.
Apart from the special employment program announced in January, Paul says government has supported the private sector through the National Employment Program.
We, the government, through the National Employment Program as well, we support private sector. We, especially companies who need this human resource injection. So through that, we provide support. We place persons at these companies until they can get back on their feet and until they can be absorbed fully. So we provide either full payment to these employees or 50% payment to these employees to benefit the private sector.
The private sector here will be better equipped to bounce back from the ravages of a natural disaster following a two-day workshop which got underway on Monday. The Business Continuity Planning Workshop was organized by the Dominica Association of Industry and Commerce, DAIC. The aim of the workshop is to reduce the risk of businesses in Dominica to natural disasters, as following Hurricane Maria, all businesses were significantly affected.
After the hurricane, we did an assessment of our businesses, and we saw that 55% of our businesses had plans. But of these businesses, only half of them, their plans actually helped them in being able to restart the business as soon as possible or to reduce the losses. And we want to ensure that all the business represented here, and not just even those represented, but all our businesses can reduce and minimize the losses as much as possible.
Minister for Small Business Development, Rosalind Paul, says government is committed to helping develop the resilience of that sector, and small business development centers will soon come to reality to help boost the private sector.
One of the ongoing dialogue with the DAIC is towards the establishment of what we call SBDCs, that is Small Business Development Centers, where you have a central point to ensure that we offer business counseling, business advisory, mentorship, and that you can really improve your management to better improve your operations and efficiency. So the SBDCs, we hope to have one very soon.
Head of Operations at the Caribbean Association of Industry and Commerce, CAIC, who is on island for the workshop, says there are greater chances of bouncing back from a disaster if the business prepares for such an event.
Resilience starts here. But more importantly, our ability to continue and to survive after a disaster means that we should plan for it, because this is where we are. We know our environment. We know the place that we are. Whether in Trinity they believe God is a Trinity and there won't be any hurricanes, that's not what this is about as well. We have the ability to leverage each other's strengths. And I will work with you to look at how we can introduce this into our business continuity and bring back business life and to continue so that the next time around, we can't avoid the disaster or the hazard. But what we can do is mitigate the response to it, mitigate the impact that it causes on us.
A project is underway to relocate classes at the Salisbury Primary School to allow for urgent repairs of the existing structure. Facing rat infestation and roofless building, parents demanding action from the school's administration, prompting Education's Permanent Secretary, Assistant Chief Education Officer and the Education Officer for the West to meet with them last Wednesday. It was agreed at the meeting that classes would be relocated to Bruno's Hall and the First Baptist Church by July. This building is among 5 schools identified to be reconstructed with funds from the Canadian government and managed by the Caribbean Development Bank. Salisbury's parliamentary representative Hector John says he recently accompanied officials of the Canadian government on a site visit to the school.
Through the Caribbean Development Bank, they had three representatives here last week, and they gave the commitment to build the bank. So let me just to build the school. Let me just thank them on behalf of the community.
So you've met with these officials?
I met with them, and they came there to do the assessment, the evaluations, and to go back to report to the Canadian government to see how they can have all that information back in their hands by the end of July, and so they could maybe start releasing the funds and to start the process. But what we have done on our end in Salisbury is to begin the process of relocation of the students, temporary relocation, and we are seek to contact the owner of Bruno's Hall right now, who lives in Canada, Mr. Reggie Bruno, and also the pastor of the First Baptist Church.
Some classes had to be moved to a more suitable building on the same premises as a result of the current situation. John also attended the school's PTA meeting and is working with the Ministry of Education to facilitate the move.
Last night I had a very good discussion with Mr. Reggie Bruno, and he's willing to make this the Bruno's Hall available when he have official discussion with the government and going forward. So he knows of the importance. I explained to him of the importance, and maybe we're looking at 1 year in the first instance to ensure that the students will be schooled there for the 2018-2019 school year, and they will be comfortable. It's right, the playing field is right there, and they looking at putting the younger students at the Bruno's Hall and the older students at the First Baptist Church. So you maybe have around 7 classes. We'll see how we can that can work. The Ministry of Education has agreed to, when they get in contact with him, to come back there for us to have a site visit and to ensure we move in that direction. The parents who were present at the PTA meeting as well with the government officials, they were very happy about it, encouraged about it, because they do not like the present situation at the school. But we have just a few more weeks to go for the end of the school year, and we can move in that direction.
The Canadian government also funded construction of the school back in the 1970s. And Ainsworth Irish has returned to the board of the Grotto Home for the Homeless as a plan to relocate to a new site comes to pass. Irish took a sabbatical as president of the Grotto's board and has not been involved in management of the institution for the past 2 years, citing differences with board members over the proposed relocation at Bellevue Hall. Irish says he's participating in the current process to move from the dilapidated Bath Road building.
I'm delighted to say that when Mr. Paridella spoke with me, I decided to come back on stream with the Grotto. And certainly I'm happy to be back. And I'm pleased to tell you also that the new Minister for Social Services, that is the Honorable Dr. Daru, met with the remnants of the board sometime last week. And, he had a very good discussion with us, and very favorable comments were made. And in fact, he visited the site and pledged government continued support to help him in terms of not just improvement, but sustainable development. And I've been working with Paridella. I think, as the minister indicated, the board should get back its act together and, move forward in terms of the development. Now that they are going back to the new Grotto, I will be back on board. Mr. Paul Green has been holding on to as chairman. I'm not sure what will happen, but I think the way forward is to give them the sort of support that they need, as they have now finally decided to move to the new site.
Irish agrees there was chaos within the organization which hindered its proper management.
I was actually struggling to get things in place, and persons had their own ideas and decided to go haywire. So we need to have our accounts in order. We need to have things going more in a more systematic way. I think whoever is at the helm in terms of coordinating or running the day-to-day affairs have to put a mechanism so that things go more organized as to the health of the way it went. And certainly, I feel re-energized. I can assume the position as a regular member, but both Mr. Green and Mr. Bell indicated to me on Friday that they want me to come back at the helm to chart the way forward in terms of taking charge of the grotto as the president, and then we'll take it from there.
The move, which was due to have taken place last weekend, is expected to go ahead this week. To end the news, a look again at the headlines. A renewed commitment from Venezuela as multiple contracts are signed for post-Maria housing development. Training remains a priority for local media as the DMCA adopts a new constitution. And a stern warning from the Prime Minister to State College authorities as he pledges to settle $1 million in unpaid student fees. Feel free to contact us at news@mapping2k4.com. You can access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.